Let's look at return on investment, or what is called ROI. This is one of those things that you're going to have to do for your project to prove that it's really got worth or value, and as a method of comparing it to other projects that are submitted. During this video, we want to refer to page 49 whenever we can, because that's actually where your book covers this subject. So let's look at the objectives. First of all, we want to ask and answer, what is ROI? Secondly, we want to know why it's important. Then we want to know, how can I calculate it? We're going to calculate it by hand, or show you how to calculate it by hand. And then we're going to automate that by using Excel. That's what you really want to do. You don't want to calculate this thing by hand because there may be changes. So let's start off with, what is ROI? ROI is one of several approaches to establishing the financial case for the business or for the project. For example, you may have 3 different projects that the business may be considering, and an ROI is a way of looking at that and saying, well, this one brings in a greater return. Don't forget, ROI is return on investment. How much money do we make off of this particular project? Secondly, ROI is a performance measure used to evaluate the project. So we look at it and we say, this is a very well done project because it comes in at these benefits with these costs. And that's basically what ROI measures. It's also a performance measure used to compare different projects. So if one comes in at 40% and one comes in at 90%, okay, I'm more inclined to look at the one at 90% and find out how they're doing that right. A couple things about ROI. First of all, it's always expressed as a percentage per year. So that's not a percentage for the project, it's a percentage annualized. So it's per year. And secondly, one of the guidelines is projects are expected to have at least an ROI of 20%. So that for every dollar that is invested, the investor gets back $1.20. That's pretty good. That's incentive to invest. Now, one of the things I didn't cover here is what ROI is not. It is not a complete picture of how this project will look financially. It's part of the picture. There are several other measures that we would want to incorporate. We're going to look at return on investment, and we're going to say, okay, why is that important then? Well, if that's important, first of all, we said it was an acceptable way of comparing investments. So we're not just looking at projects, we're also looking at, if I took this money and rather than invest it in this particular project of, let's say, upgrading the image of the computers, I took that money and I stuck it in a bank account or some kind of an investment CD or a fund of some kind, and I could get 12%. I would have to look and say, the project only brings in, let's say, 5%, and this particular fund brings in 12%. I would really look askance at that project and say it better have a really good reason for existence. The other thing it does is it really proves the value of my project. As I go through and look at it financially, I'm going to see some benefits that I need to calculate in there, and that's going to highlight those benefits for me as well. So at that point, I've highlighted the benefits, I've proven the value, and I've given the business some kind of measure of comparison. I've kind of got that going, so let's go ahead and look, let's take a look at how to calculate that ROI. So the first thing I need to do is take a look at my total benefits. We did this on the work request. We took a look at things like increase in revenue. Now the only problem with that is we can put down, okay, this is going to increase your revenue. For the ROI, we need numbers. So this is not a guess. This is not something that I project. This is something that I actually know can happen. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of homework, and of course the best homework to do is through other people who have done this before. So you go to the marketing department and say, what if we made this available in colors? Do you think that would increase our market a little bit? Yeah. How many do you think we could sell if we had a rainbow of 6 colors? Well, we couldn't sell 6 times the amount, but we could probably sell 3 times the amount. Okay, can you give me some numbers? So you work with that department and you get some numbers. So your increased revenue is going to be a number. And you might also increase competitive advantage, and here again, your marketing folks may know that. You may increase productivity. We can do it better. So one piece of software may do something better than another piece of software, or maybe one computer does it faster than another. So you're increasing that productivity. You also, by that, it may increase your retention. In other words, your ability to keep people who are good and skilled there on the job. The other thing you can do is just have some cost savings, period. Bottom line, cost savings. And here again, your financial people would be a big help on that. So those are some benefits that we want to look at. Those are numbers that we want to look at. The other number we want to look at is the total cost. Well, we pretty much know what the total cost is going to be, plus or minus 25%, based on our project costs that we already have calculated to some extent. In the work request or business case, we say total cost plus or minus 25%. When we actually do it for the charter and subsequent documents, it's going to have to be total cost plus or minus 10%. So we're going to have to be pretty accurate on this. I want to go back and recalculate, put a little bit more diligence into looking up costs, labor costs, replacement costs, and things like that. So those are our two numbers. We need total benefits, we need total costs, and then we can calculate our ROI. So here's the formula for ROI. It's basically total benefits minus total costs divided by total costs. Okay? So we take the total benefits minus the total cost. Okay, so the total benefit should be more than the total cost. There's a clue right there. Divided by total cost. Okay, so that's going to come out to be a decimal number of some kind, hopefully. And, times 100 down there actually makes it a percentage. Ta-da! So that's how we're going to get that percentage. Let's work an example. Let's say that we have this formula, which we're going to plug numbers into. That's the same formula you saw on the other page. So we're going to just do something like, let's mow a lawn or something like that. So we said the total benefits is going to be $125. So the person's going to pay us $125 to mow the golf course. And unfortunately, we don't have a lawnmower yet. So our total cost of the project is going to be $100 by the time we get through buying a lawnmower and using it as an excuse to get the big wheels with the chrome mags on it, and the whole 9 yards. Of course, we want to have it can be convertible with leather, and so at that point we've got our total benefits at $125 and our total cost at $100. Let's plug it into our formula. We've got 125 minus 100 divided by 100, and that gives us 0.25. 0.25? Yeah, 0.25 times 100, which makes it our percentage. So we've got a ROI of 25%. Now, is that our total cost? Well, it may be. It may be our ROI, but don't forget ROI is annualized. So it could be 25% per year if we only do that once a year, if that project takes a year. However, if the project takes 4 years, that drops our ROI to 6.25%. In other words, we take the 25%, we divide it by the number of years that we actually have the thing working. Okay, well, the better part of it is, let's say that's 25%, but it only takes 6 months. So now we have a 50% return on investment. That's what most of our projects are going to be. They're going to be short-term projects by the nature of their definition. So how do we calculate it in Excel? This is the best part. So we're going to actually go to Excel. We're going to use a template form that we're going to build, and then we're going to calculate it. Don't forget, the best part of Excel is that you can recalculate it on an instantaneous basis to make sure that you got the right numbers, make sure you got the latest data. So here's our little makeshift spreadsheet, and this is our cost-benefit data that we're going to put in here, and then we're going to calculate the ROI from this cost-benefit data. So here we go. This is the layout here is actually by month. You'll notice that in the first column. Then we've got the costs in the second and the benefits in the third. And don't forget, this is total benefits minus total costs. So we're going to have to add all those costs and benefits up. So let's go ahead and put in our numbers. And just for sake of this particular example, we're going to say that all numbers are in thousands. So we actually start off with $60,000 spent on the project. First month, we're buying all the gear and all the stuff and the wire and things like that. The next month, our expenses are down to $17,000. Then we're finishing up some of the projects with an $8,000 and a $9,000. And then we finally get to the point where we're doing a lot of testing. So we're only at $1,000 that month. And then we finally finish up with the training, which is going to cost us $2,200. Now, the nice thing about this is Excel will do all the addition for us. So how do I do that? Well, I'm down here in B10. I'm going to go up to the Formula tab, and you'll notice it's got AutoSum right there. So I'm going to click AutoSum, and it says is this what you want to add up? Are these the numbers? Is this the range? The marching ants are the range. So I'm going to press enter or return, and it's going to calculate it for me. There it is. So it's $97,000 is my total cost. Cool. Let's do the same thing for benefits. So the first month, we don't have very many benefits. So we're going to say we got about $3,000 worth. And then we're going to put in $28,000 and maybe $31,000. Now, sounds like I'm making these numbers up. I've really got them written down so that these are precise numbers for this particular project. These aren't guesses. So then the next month, we've got a benefit of $34,000, and as people begin to use the system more, we've got $36,000, and we finally enjoy a benefit of $39,000 in increased productivity. Let's put that summation down here again, so I'm going to click in the cell, and I'm going to go back up to my auto sum, and I'm going to click up here, and it says, are these the numbers you want to add up into that cell? And I'm going to say sure, and the way I'm going to accept that is by pressing enter or return. And so I've got $171,000 in benefits. Let's go down to our ROI right here, and let's calculate our ROI. Now notice I put the formula right above that so we can see it. So it's total benefits minus total costs divided by total cost. And there's a really easy way to put in formulas in Excel. So I'm going to click in the cell where I want the formula to go, and I'm going to go up here so you can see what's going on. And I'm just going to click in there. To put in a formula, I'm going to press equals, so this cell equals. And now, just like my formula down in B13, I want to put a parenthesis. So I'm going to say parentheses. Now, what cell is my total benefits in? Well, that's right here. So I'm just going to click in that cell, and it's going to put it in the formula. Ready? Glunk. Hey, that's cool. Now, it's going to be total benefits minus, I'm going to go to my numeric entry keypad and tap the minus key. And then I want it to subtract my total cost, which is over here in B10. So I'm just going to click over there, and it subtracts that out. Then I'm going to type my close paren so that Excel will do the minusing or the subtraction problem first. Otherwise, it would do the division problem first. So I don't want to do that. I want it to do the subtraction first. Then I want it to divide by what? Well, I want it to divide by my total cost, which is right here in B10. So when I've got that done, I'll just press enter. And you'll notice that my ROI is 76%. Well, that's not quite correct. Don't forget the ROI is annualized. So that's 76%, but my project only lasts 6 months. So in effect, I can double that. So it's actually going to be 152%. Do you understand how that works? I took the 76%, which happens in 6 months, and said, okay, if that happened every 6 months, or 152%. That's how that works. So my ROI is actually going to be 152, not 76.